Is life easy or hard? That's a big question because it gets really interesting when we talk about working smarter, not harder. And yet we say life is hard, not we're working smarter. So, what is it? Is it working smarter or is life hard? Let's find out.
Welcome to Share.care, an all-inclusive community sharing experience, strength, and hope to create strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships. Share.care communities work toward every individual feeling safe, valued, and heard, free from the threat of danger, pain, or harm. Each episode, founder Damian Andrews explores the principles underpinning Share.care and invites expert special guests to share their knowledge so you can easily reap the benefits so many others experience. You hold the choice to create your future. Let it be with strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships.
Hello and welcome to an on the couch episode of the Share.care podcast. Our belief is that global peace starts at home. Feeling safe, valued, and heard gives you a foundation to confidently step out and make the world a happier and safer place for everyone. Because in today's world, it's in your own selfish best interest to help others. So we're talking about, is life easy or hard? I want to rephrase that a little bit because we talk about working smarter, and at the same time we say life is hard, which those two to me are juxtaposed. So what I want to do is reframe that to say life is easy, not immediate. And what I mean by that is a lot of times we expect things to happen a lot quicker than they should or would happen. This happens a lot in businesses when they start up. People expect things to happen really fast, and that is not necessarily the case. Another example is there's the saying, create a better mousetrap and people will beat a path to your door. And that's not true either. It doesn't happen. You can create the best doohickey, whatever it is, and people will not run to your door. Why is that? Well, people are creatures of habit. So because they're creatures of habit, they do things the way they've always done them. And that's where the rub comes in. So it doesn't mean that it's hard, and it's actually quite easy to do things in life. There's simple sets of principles. Now, it might take time, it might take effort. They're a different thing. Hard and effort are two different things. And what I mean by that is if you're, for example, want to dig a hole, let's get really rudimentary about this. You want to dig a hole. And to dig a hole, you're going to use a shovel. So let's dig a hole. And then so as you're digging the hole, you're putting your foot on the top of the shovel and pushing down and digging out a clump of soil and heaving it over your shoulder, and do that again and again, and you dig a hole, and you're putting in effort. Now, your friend comes along right next to you on one of those little tracked excavator things, just a little one, and they pull a few levers. They're still using effort and dig the same hole very quickly and with just the effort of moving those couple of levers. You both end up with a hole, and you've both used effort, but the various amount of effort that you've used is quite different. Now, the person who's been digging with a shovel, no doubt will say, digging a hole is so hard. It's really difficult. It's really hard. You have to, strain and strain until you get the hole. Whereas your friend going, digging a hole's not that difficult. You just pull a few levers and there's your hole. Quite easy. And that's an analogy. Another analogy to do with that highlights this as well was I was having a discussion with a friend of mine who's a 7th Dan black belt in karate. And we were talking about, again, life being hard and easy. And I said, well, hard and easy depends on what your relative skill is to the task. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, if you if I asked you, you're a seventh Dan black belt, so you're pretty good at karate. And if I asked you to do grading at a yellow belt level, so just to the standard required of a yellow belt, not a seventh Dan black belt, but to the standard required of a yellow belt, would that be hard or easy for you? And he goes, it'll be really easy. I said, that's my point. How hard or easy something is relative to your level of skill. And they're the two distinctions I want to make, is one between whether it's easy or immediate, because a lot of times what we do is we start something and we think, okay, we can do this really quickly, and then the result isn't immediate. Maybe we don't have an exact immediate expectation, but from what I've seen, pretty much everyone that I've dealt with, including myself, including myself in there, including myself, the expectation of time it takes to do things is much shorter than the reality. And I know that with my own, one of my houses, well, many houses that I've had where I've renovated them, the expectation that it's going to take me to do those renovations was way shorter than the reality. It took much longer, particularly when I was doing it myself. It took a lot longer than I expected. I had these great ideas. I was going to do this and have it all done in 6 weeks. 6 months later, it still was being worked on. And that's not because I was getting distracted with other things. It was a much longer task than I anticipated. And that's where I want to distinguish, firstly, the difference between easy and immediate. We confuse those, and then we go, oh, it's hard because it didn't happen immediately or in the time frame. Just we miss our estimation. I make up words. Our estimate of how long it would take was just completely erroneous, and that's the human condition. We do that all the time as people. The other one is whether it's hard or easy is relative to our level of skill. And I've had this discussion with a friend of mine because we're talking about business, and a lot of people go, oh, business is hard, business is hard. And a friend of mine is a venture capitalist, and he's extremely well off. He's got a lot of money. One of the startups he was involved in got bought for, I won't say the company, I won't reveal who it is, but it was sold to a large multinational for $1.6 billion. That's a B, billion dollars. That's just one. And we're having coffee and we're talking about business and about, how to identify, because he's venture capitalist. And he goes, well, it's pretty straightforward. There's certain things you look for as far as criteria about the experience of the people doing it, the business model, the background of the business model, their plans. He outlined a few criteria, some of which I've just mentioned, which give a very good indication as to whether it's likely to succeed or not. And it's not always 100% right. That's right. That's correct. But more often than not, he knows the answer as to whether, when a business comes to him, whether it's going to be successful or not. And that's not unique. I mean, there's a number of people I've talked to that are in that space where they know, looking at it, whether it's going to succeed or not by that criteria. And no doubt the people that bring those businesses where it doesn't meet that criteria have a much more difficult go of it in making it successful, if they even get it up to be successful, because their plan is not right, or the foundation of their business model is not right, or a number of factors within that are not correct, or they don't have enough skill, which is very common. So no doubt those people that don't meet that criteria are struggling and find business really hard. And that comes again to the second point of its experience, your level of experience to the task you're doing. If you don't have the right level of experience, it's going to be much harder, and you probably won't be working smarter in most cases. And that's a distinction I want to make. And I made a few notes of a couple of different examples here. And one of those, and we talk about, Growing your business, for example. Now let's talk about growing your business. If you want to grow your business, and people say, oh, it's difficult to grow business, difficult to find clients. Out of all the people that have done that, or said that, I should say, or that I've met, and of all the people I've met that said, I can't find clients, what I've noticed about that is if I ask them, did you call one new client a day? And the answer is always no. No, I didn't. And I said, how hard is it to call one client, one potential client a day? I said, well, it's not that hard. And there's the answer to that question. Is it hard or easy? It's not hard to call one client. And that doesn't mean you've got, if you're calling every day, 365 days, every day, not every weekday, then there's 365 clients. It might be a case that you call them and every second month you call the same ones again. But again, to call one a day is not that hard. Another client that I have, a younger guy, he's quite enthusiastic, and we were talking about that same sort of thing about his business. He had a business idea, he wanted to get it set up. And he was struggling because he was working, he was studying because he hadn't finished his degree yet. And so it was like, well, how do we get this business up and running? And I said, well, what do we want to do? Or what you want to do, more particularly. What you want to do, what I would suggest you do is, can you, and I'll put it as a question to him, I said, can you fit, how much TV do you watch in your day, was the first question I asked. He goes, probably, I don't know, about 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I said, from that TV time, could you spend 15 minutes of that TV time, or could you find another 15 minutes somewhere in your day to just work on? So you've got to study, of course, you're working, of course, and you've got an hour and a half to 2 hours of TV time in your day as well. Can you find somewhere within that and all the other things that you're doing for 15 minutes a day to spend on getting your business up and running? And he went, yeah, probably. I thought, well, probably or not. Get specific. And he goes, yeah, I can. And I said, will you commit to that? He goes, yeah. And so he started doing it, and then he stopped doing it. Then he started again, stopped doing it again. And then finally he did it consistently. And all of a sudden, after a relatively short period of time, he had his business up and running. And that was 15 minutes a day. Now, it wasn't an overly complicated business, and he had a lot of the skill already anyway. It was more about putting the business model together and then reaching out to people. So it was a simple process. Was that hard? Asked him, was it hard? He goes, no, it was pretty easy. So again, it's not so much that life is hard, business is hard. It's pretty easy. Same token too, I mean, another example is that I've heard before, and I mean, I'm sure there's someone out there that's going to correct this, but that's fine if it's not 100%. It's the principle behind it. I read somewhere that if you study an hour a day on a particular one topic, if you study an hour a day on one particular topic, after 4 years, you'll be in the top 10% of people of knowledge on that topic. When you think about what you do in a day, and again, think about all the relaxation time and all the other time that you waste and fluff, and even in most circumstances, if you actually have a look at how you manage your normal workday, you'll find that there's so much time in there that's just not being effectively used. And we deal with that on the Max Time course that I run. It's a program that shows you how to maximize the effort that you're getting, so you get more bang for your buck, using that metaphor. So you can find that, but yeah, the principle, the point I'm making is that if you study an hour a day on a particular topic, then you'll be in the most knowledgeable on that top, or in the top 10% on that topic. And is it hard to study an hour a day on a particular topic? I don't think it is, in my personal opinion. I don't think it's that harder when you look at all the different things that you do to sit down, do whatever you do, go maybe if it's work, even if you're not efficient in work, that's fine. You don't need to be. You can be next time. We'll help you do that. But if you end of the day, come home, chill out for a bit, have a shower, go for a run, whatever, have something to eat. And then instead of vegging out for however many hours watching, binge watching on the streams that you've got, is just simply read a book on a topic. Do a bit of study on that particular topic. You'll learn it very, very quickly and you'll be in the top 10%. And if you disagree with that, let me know. That's fine. We can correct that statistic. That's not a problem. Similar principle, and coming back to right back to basics. I mean, one of the things that people often struggle with is money and having money. And so it's hard. Having money is hard. It's stressful. It's hard. How do you do that? How do you have money? Well, the first principle is you've got to earn it, unless it's given to you, but I wouldn't be banking on that. It can happen. But to earn it, what do? Well, you add value, solve a problem. And if you solve someone's problem, you can get paid for that. And that's, as an employee, you're solving someone's problem of work that needs to be done. As a business owner, you're solving a particular problem for whatever product or service or widget, whatever you want to call it, is, and you're solving that problem. And people pay you for that. If you structure it well, you get paid a lot. If you don't structure it well, maybe you don't get paid a lot. But regardless, it's not that hard to earn money, particularly in today's day and age. As an employee, there's a real lack of skilled labor, and that's partly because of the demographics of the world. The baby boomers are, moving on, and the people didn't have the children need to have. So our curve is either going the wrong way, or there's a lot less people out there working. So in short, basically, to earn money, it's not that challenging as an employee. And as a business owner, I'd put that in the same category. You add value into a service. Basically, I mean, if you focus in a service that's needed and you deliver it really well. My neighbor, one of the house that I've got, he has a business. It's not a great big business, but he has, I think he's about 12 or 14 employees. He has a bookkeeping business. Well, people need bookkeeping done all the time. It's stuff that they don't want to do. And he has a bunch of clients. He's got his 12 to 14 employees. I can't remember how many exactly it is. Ranges between there when I talk to him. And it's got a nice little system, make sure that the people feel valued, his clients feel valued, so they want to go back. It's a service they always need, and that's done. A friend of mine that I met through our podcasting actually has a legal notary business. Check out that podcast. Mark, pretty cool. He's the Notary Ninja, so check him out. But check out his business. He's quite clever. Him and his wife have put together this great business. Now, the notary services are services that people need constantly, and he's delivered. He delivers great service and has a flourishing business because of that. But it's a service people constantly need. So, from a business perspective, it's not that hard. If you want to move into the space where you want to be the biggest business in the world, there's a whole different level of skill there. But so that will make it more challenging if you don't have that skill. But if you have someone with the experience of, that's run a big company before, it might not be so difficult for you. Be quite easy. Obviously, there's a lot of effort involved. If you're going from zero to $1 billion turnover, there's effort that needs to be done. I'm not saying there's not effort. Whether it's hard or easy, another story. You can certainly take a much easier road. You can work smarter, which a lot of people don't do, from my experience. They'll repeat the same things over and over again. They'll cost themselves. I had that with a client where I was helping them out and they had a dispute. It was a $25 million dispute, not a little one, so large dispute. And I said, this is the part in the contract you want to avoid. Can't let the mediation fail, because the next step is court, which is going to be really, really expensive if you do that. A lot of money in legal fees. And I had a strategy to solve that. We went through that process. We started that process. And then they got a big legal firm in to give them advice. The legal firm said, no, we should do a one-day mediation. I'm like, if it fails, what happens? Anyway, they followed big legal firm. Mediation failed. I think they've spent now, it's still going on at the time I'm recording this. The dispute's been going on for nearly 3 years now. And I think they've spent about $12 to $13 million in legal fees. And that's before they get to a settlement. So was it hard? I don't think it was. I think it was pretty easy. So that's where, when you're looking at these sort of things, that you want to find how to do it smarter, because they say work smarter, not harder. And if you're working smarter, then it becomes easy. Don't go digging a hole with a shovel. Go and get an excavator. Go and get some blasting powder, whatever. Do something else other than spending a lot of effort when you can do it much, much easier and much smarter. And so that's where I want to get to, as far as, don't work harder. Don't expect things to be immediate. Have a realistic expectation. And then it becomes much easier, because if your expectation of what things should be is realistic, you know the steps it's going to take. You can plan for that. You can be in a situation where you can actually make the most of it and do it much, much more efficiently. So then it becomes not hard. And that's where, let's say, life is not hard. It's certainly not immediate. But life is easy, not immediate.
Thank you for being part of the Share.Care community and helping people around the world prosper. You're creating a bigger pie for everyone to share. The more people contributing to the world being a better place, the better the world becomes, for others and for you.